Okay.
Linda, we're going to ask you about the German name for biscuit, but what those biscuits mean to you. We are streaming live, so we'll come back to you with some more questions.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us today. I'd like to begin by acknowledging that we are hosting this meeting from the lands of the Gadigal people of the Eora Nations, which are the unceded lands on which we work and create here at Artspace. I'd also like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of all the various lands on which you are joining us from, both our speakers and our audience. It's great to have all of you here. And we'd obviously like to send our respects to the elders past, present, emerging, and all First Peoples who may be joining us today. My name is Elise Goldfinch. I'm Associate Curator here at Artspace and had the pleasure of working with Rosalind and Liam, who will be our co-presenters today, on the phenomenal exhibition in the Ideas platform called Garret to Gallery. It is part of an ongoing project that we've been doing and partnership that we've been doing with Front Up, with the Art Gallery of New South Wales and Artspace. So this is many years in the making and has been a really wonderful, outstanding opportunity to bring all of these diverse voices into the gallery. Today, a few very small housekeeping notes. We will be recording this session and it will be streamed and available on the Artspace website and Facebook for later viewing. We also have our wonderful Auslan interpreters, so Jess, who is here, and Jen will be coming on as well. So please make sure if you do want to watch the interpretations while the presentation is happening, to make sure that they're both pinned. And that you can toggle your video across the Zoom screen across to make sure that they're available while we're screen sharing as well. We've got a lot to cover. We've also got closed captioning. So if you need that available, it's just the button down the bottom of your screen. So I will hand over to Rosalind and Liam. There's a lot to cover, many artists joining us today. So we're really excited to get this conversation going. Thanks, everybody.
Hi.
Hi, guys.
My name is Webster, and I'm an artist, and I'm one of the program facilitators at Front Up.
And I'm Rosalind Stanley. I'm also one of the lead facilitators at Front Up, along with Liam, and an artist also. And I am the curator of this exhibition as well. So a little bit about Front Up and so Garret to Gallery features work by 16 artists who are connected with the Get Out of the Garret project, which we call GOG. It's an initiative of Western Sydney Cultural Program, Front Up. And we support professional and emerging artists living with or without disability by providing studio space at the Front Up Hub in Seven Hills, along with exhibition, professional development and networking opportunities. So Garret to Gallery brings together new and experimental work by professional and emerging artists that explore themes such as environmental stability, cultural connection, language, and how lived experience informs artist practices. So participating in Garret to Gallery, each artist is sharing critical insight into their practice and contributing to the culture of the GOG community.
And so we have the artists here today who are in Garret to Gallery. And we're going to go around now and say hi to everyone and hear about their artist practice. I'm also going to be sharing my screen so we can look at people's work as we're talking to them as well. So I'm just going to get that ready. Okay. So this is the exhibition, Garret to Gallery. And you can see multiple artworks on there. We did a salon hang But we're going to first speak to Bill.
So William Bill Anderson. So do you want to introduce yourself, Bill, and tell us a bit about your art practice?
Okay, my name's William Bill Anderson. Is my pseudonym for William Anderson, and I created this work based on the super flat art movement by Takashi Murakami, but in Australasian super flat. So it has like convicts that are Yowies that are break dancing with suffragettes, and I put the cosmological constant in there because that references the multiverse, where I had this idea for a manga comic in a parallel universe where instead of people, there were Yowies, and Yowies come to discover Australia instead of people. Yeah, and I tried to do it in a sort of like semi-abstract impressionism from inspired by Francis Bacon too. Yeah, and I tried to choose bright colours, and the convict or the broad arrow convict symbol replaces the Adidas. Yeah.
Thank you, Bill. We're going to move on to Joseph Ferrari. Joseph, can you introduce yourself and tell us about your artist practice?
Yes, Liam, thank you. So my name's Joseph. I'm an artist, painter. I mostly do portraits. And these two works here display sort of like, study going to painting. So the one on my right with the green and sort of like, very muted colorful palette was like a study of gaining perspective and good dramatic lighting and structure. And then the painting on my left is kind of like taking what I got from my study and just kind of like expanding it more into something that looks a lot more, dramatic and raw. And most of all that comes from being inspired by a lot of expressionism and impressionism. So, I like the works of like Van Gogh or Oskar Kukushka, and I like to learn, the basic structural palettes of, of how they work with their colors and composure in their paintings. So
Thank you, Joseph. Thank you very much. We're going to move on to Levon. Have we got you with us, Levon? Okay.
We might come back to her.
We might come back and see how we go. So this is Levon's digital photograph. And then Krista.
Do we have Krista on? Krista hasn't joined us.
We'll
we
come
might
back
come back to her.
Krista's work as well. There's a detail of Krista's work.
And next we have Linda Oginowski.
Linda, can you tell us about your artist practice and introduce yourself?
Okay, so just in general or in relation to this work?
General.
In general?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. Okay, well, I'm a painter, sculptor. I've started doing illustration. I like making costumes. Yeah, and I've, I don't know. Well, in terms of this work, I basically just started by baking some gingerbread biscuits for my family in 2019 for Christmas. And yeah, whilst I was kind of decorating them, I just sort of decided to create some little characters, and I got a bit carried away. And a few of them, I particularly liked, and I was kind of trying to create like, in a way, minority groups. I don't know, there was one character I thought was sort of like a you know, maybe a depiction of a poor white person, or as some might think, you know, white trash or something. So I sort of ended up actually, this particular one is the one that I've kind of painted here and made a few versions of in Artline and Italian watercolor. And yeah, it was sort of, I wanted to bring out the mottled kind of skin imperfections, and I sort of thought about allergies and things like that, and it kind of related to my, oh sorry, do I need to stop talking?
We'll come back to you, Linda.
Oh, okay, sorry. Sure.
Richard, can you please introduce yourself and tell us about your artist practice?
Hi, I'm Richard. I'm currently doing Polynesian art, and I'm just exploring myself through exploring parts of me through doing Polynesian art, through art and culture and stuff like that. So yeah.
Thanks, Richard. We'll come back to you as well. Some detail of your work. And we're going to go to Catherine. Can you please introduce yourself and tell us about your artist practice? Catherine, are you there?
Yeah.
We might come back to Catherine.
You might be on mute. I'm just going to check. Oh, Catherine, I'm going to take you off of mute if I can. All right. How do I do that? No, here. Catherine. Oh, hang on. Here we go.
Catherine.
And
Maybe
I'm
you've got
having
mute on
trouble
your,
because
on your end.
yep, we can't hear you, Catherine. So you'll need to turn your microphone on.
We might come back to you, Catherine, in a minute.
Yep.
And you might talk to Sunny, Sunflower, about.
Hi. Hi. So I'm a culturally diverse Australian artist who identifies as having disabilities. And I'm a descendant of the Aboriginal Wormali people of the Darug Nation, as well as Lebanese post-war migrants, Chinese gold rush miners, and UK convicts. So my identity embodies the diverse ancestral legacy of Australia's painful and complicated colonial past, which I explore in my work. I'm a strong believer in artist activism, which informs my work to fight for human rights and give hope, support, and inspiration to marginalized people of all identities. I'm interdisciplinary, so I focus on photography, video, multimedia, installation, hybrid art forms, and I've currently started an online collective of artists with disabilities exhibiting in a 3D virtual reality space.
Sounds cool.
Thank you so much.
So Keith, next up, Keith Rutherford. Do you want to tell us a bit about yourself and your art practice?
Oh, hi everyone. My name is Keith Rutherford. I'm an abstract expressionist, painting mainly in oils, and at the moment I'm using sand as well with the oils, but also graphite, charcoal, pencil, and gouache on ribbed cotton. So I'm using recycled materials a lot at the moment. I'm visually impaired. I have a thing called Stargart. So my art is the art of Stargart, which I just figured out rhymes as well. The art of Stargart is my story, and that's why I'm creating my story. So it's abstract expressionist, but I use my mental screen because there's nothing wrong with my mental screen. Everyone's got their mental screen, and they can create, imagine, or whatever you want to say. So I try to reproduce that onto canvas, etc. And a lot of my influences are, people like Cy Twombly, Gerhard Richter, and Anselm Kiefer is a big influence on my work at the moment.
Thank you, Kay.
Okay. We might go back and see if Lavon's on yet.
Hi.
Hi.
Can you please introduce yourself and tell us about your artist practice?
Yep. Hi, I'm Livon. I live in the Blue Mountains and I'm mainly a conceptual photographer, but I have started branching out into costuming and headdresses and things and props, but all to suit my photography, obviously. And my work is pretty much fairy tale based, but it always deals with social issues, as most fairy tales do. So this particular work was based around the time that the government took arts out of its own portfolio. And I was so upset about how the arts were treated that I made this series of work which talks about kintsugiing of the soul. So kintsugi is the Japanese art of mending broken pottery with gold, making it more valuable. So I applied that to the human psyche, that sort of explaining that even though we might have cracks from trauma or mental illness, whatever it is we have our cracks from, that we have to find our own gold that fills them, and mine is art. So that was what this series of work was about.
Thank you so much, Livon. Great. If we've got Krista, we'd love to hear from you. What I might do is I might just read out Krista's artist statement from the catalogue. So 4 elements: whoever prayed for fire, whoever prayed for air, whoever prayed for earth. We often pray for rain, embers and ash raining down. Embers addresses the issue of climate change, environmental sustainability, and our rapidly changing landscape in Australia through the lens of literature, poetry, and music. Words are drawn from prominent literary figures and musicians, are presented in the painting to emphasise the loss for future generations. Krista Robnik's multidisciplinary practice is informed by working as a commercial jeweller, gemologist, valuer, ceramicist, sculptor, and painter. Her oil paintings tackle realism through still life and figuration and addresses environmental sustainability by focusing on our rapidly changing landscape. All right.
So
the next, I think Catherine, we've got Catherine.
I've turned the mic on, sorry.
Hey.
The lighting here is not great. I'm a bit tired.
your artwork at the moment. So if you
Yeah.
want to talk a bit about your art practice and your artwork that you've got in the exhibition here.
Sure, okay. Sorry, you're very faint at the moment. What can I say? I've never really been one to take selfies, but around the time when this work was created, I found myself actually without a phone or camera and access to, decent computers. And I was feeling like I had to somehow keep taking photos or somehow have a record of myself. That's the personal side of it. I also just generally like exploring, new ideas of what a portrait is and, how we represent ourselves. I like sort of blurring the lines a bit across different genres, different art forms, even different art styles. So this work is about identity and how it can be impact and how our perspective can be impacted by trauma. So yeah, it was, a reflection, a meditation. There were days when I felt like roadkill, days when, I was wondering if there was anything spiritual at all happening, the idea of being one at one with nature or disappearing, into a void or, but at the same time sort of being everywhere.
Thank you, Catherine. We'll come back to you and we'll continue that conversation.
Sure.
Just, you may have noticed we are moving quite quickly today.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of artists here and we're making sure that everyone gets a voice. And so we're, so we're just going to talk about Sujo Wright's work.
Yeah, Sue couldn't make it with us today. Sue So I'm just going to read out the artist statement of her work in the exhibition. So these are two artworks with 3 layers. One, and they're called the Sign of Time. Suzhou Wright uses natural fibers and fabrics to create 3-dimensional shapes of hands producing Auslan and ASL signs, which will hang in the air to create natural movement, a sign that moves on its own. This artwork gives the viewer a perspective of the world as seen by a deaf person. Suzhou Wright is a Sydney-based deaf artist working primarily with photography, video and textiles to explore her identity as a deaf person. In her work, people communicate in Auslan, which is Australian Sign Language, in an attempt to break down the barriers and offer the hearing world a glimpse into the world of her community. Sue also works as an Auslan consultant to help make other artworks and performances more accessible to the deaf community.
So we've looked at almost all of the artist works. I think Rosalind as well, we'd love to hear about you and your practice. So Rosalind, as well as curating this exhibition, her work features as well. I'm just trying to find your image. There it is. And can you tell us about your practice?
Okay, so I'm a multidisciplinary artist with a conceptual approach. So I do many things, but one of my main interests is the human form. Well, part of my interests. I just love the human form, and I kind of went on from there to do things like making mannequins. So I made really large mannequins and then really small figures. And this photograph is actually of 2 tiny, weeny mannequins. I think they're about 10 centimeters in height, which I positioned into a bonsai plant. And then I kind of blended them a bit together. So they're taken in the sunlight, in the afternoon sunlight. So it's got that really kind of eerie feel. And then I just blended the limbs together. And yeah, I just kind of like to have, it's got a kind of weird feeling, which I like all my artwork to have kind of maybe a little bit dark. And it makes you think twice when you look at it, because it's kind of hard to tell if they're real or not. So I like that kind of mysterious feel.
Thank you, Rosalind. And we're actually going to go back and revisit our artists now and talk a little bit more about the works in the show. So we'll come back to you, Bill. We'd love to know if you could talk about the Yowie and what the Yowie means to you and how it features in your work.
Yeah, well, at first I kind of came to the conclusion like a mythical character, and I used to call them Yetis. But then I found out that I had Aboriginal heritage, and I started calling them Yowies based on the Quinkins book. And I kind of put it in a manga or anime type, sort of like comic book character, or manga in Japanese. And it's like a solitary figure. Yeah, the sort of like outsider character, which the Yowie sort of portrays. That's what I'd probably put it down to. Yeah.
Thanks, Bill.
So next we have Joseph. Can you tell us a little bit about your fascination with portraits? Because I know you do a lot of portraits.
Fascinating.
What is your fascination with doing portraits?
Fascination with portraiture just really stems from my experience of like studying the human form a bit. And I've started to find like I got really good and better with faces compared to most of the parts of the human body. And I start to get more emotionally invested to them as a result of that, and just kept on going from there. So one could say, the pre-study going on to the full painting is kind of like my evolution of how far I've gone with, doing, you know, portraiture.
Thanks, Joseph. Levon, we'd love to hear you talk about fairy tales and why and how the concept of fairy tales and maybe the culture of fairy tales features in your work.
I think originally I came from a very traumatic childhood and have had a reasonably traumatic adulthood as well. And when I started doing photography probably 8 years ago, I started to realise that as soon as I sort of turned back to the fairy tale style work, I felt safe again, like I used to as a child when I read fairy tales. It took me out of reality and into another world where there was always a happily ever after. And I think I still held that hope that there would be a happily ever after for me as well. And so it was really important to me to try and I guess get that across in my art. And so every photo that I do, it always has a glimpse of hope and inspiration in it. That's really important to me.
Thank you, Levon. So who have we got to speak to?
We've got Linda.
Yeah, let's go to Linda's work. Linda, we'll come back to you. There's a particular German name for the biscuit that you've created. Can you tell us about, tell us about this biscuit and why you used it?
And tell us about the Plätzchen and how you actually pronounce that. That would be nice too.
Sorry? How do I pronounce? Plätzchen.
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 Oh, nice.
So it has an umlaut over the A. But in English you would write it A-E. But in German it's P-L-A umlaut. Yeah. Anyway, T-Z-E-N. So basically I liked that idea of, well, initially I just chose the gingerbread biscuits because this was an activity, traditional kind of activity I felt like sort of brought me closer to my German roots because I'm a first generation migrant. I arrived here when I was, I think the first time around 2, and then went back to Germany and we came back when I was 5. So I just feel like a lot of my identity is still very German. So yeah, anyway, so I was making the biscuits and I thought, you know, when I'm baking those biscuits with family, which traditionally is how it's done, it's very much about the process, about sharing with others, and it's not about, you know, how they turn out. Part of, you know, their wonkiness is part, you know, becomes part of their charm. So it's about the process, not about the goal, and that's very much how I work. Even if I can be a bit perfectionistic in the art, it's still mainly because I just, you know, enter this kind of flow state where I'm just very focused on what I'm doing, and, you know, this sort of loving attention that I'm giving this subject matter. Anyway, so with Plätzchen, it means a little place, as well as small flat cake. And so for me, making art is very much a safe space. And yeah, I think particularly because I do see myself as someone who has disabilities, learning difficulties, and I've been in the welfare system a long time. So I feel like my time has kind of been organised for me. I feel like when I do art, I feel free of that, and I'm able to just take an idea and follow that wherever I want to take it, without knowing where it's going to lead. And so,
Linda, sorry, I have to cut you off there.
Sorry.
No, that's lovely. It's really great to hear. There's so many intimate stories and experiences that we're hearing about today, and I'm so sorry that we can't talk about everything. Hopefully, this is a great space for people to spark a relationship with your work that people can continue to follow and learn more about each artist. But we're going to move on to Richard Bell. Rosalind's going to ask a question.
Hi, Richard. So, you've got a Polynesian background.
Yeah.
Can you tell us something about that, how it relates to your work, and is there a particular kupesi, I'm not sure if that's how you say it, symbol that resonates with you in your art?
Oh, okay. Yeah, the word kupesi or kupesi is just, it means the motif. So each one of those repeated symbols would be a Tongan or a Polynesian kupesi. So the ones that look like spearheads, or the one, they're all just like, yeah, it's just a Polynesian word for kupesi. And yeah, I just started doing Polynesian art to represent myself and my culture, because I just felt I neglected parts of myself during the disability. Also focused on having a disability and getting better, that I didn't focus on parts of myself. So the reason why I go back to Polynesian drawings is to explore areas of myself. And yeah, I'm not sure, I seem to draw a lot of spearheads like in every drawing. So or the yeah, probably spearheads would be my favorite, but yeah, it's more of a Maori design, but yeah.
Thanks for talking about that.
We're going to look at Catherine's work. And Catherine, there's always a sense of humour in your work, but also courage. Can you tell us how you use humour and how courage features in your work? Hopefully we've still got Catherine. How are we going with that sound?
Hi.
Hi.
I'm back. Yeah, I liked, you mentioned humour and courage. I like to think that people that like art are brave souls. I also like to think that art is a very safe place. It's a platform where you can explore dark things, really quite heavy things as well. But to temper that, I do have quite a scary sometimes sense of humour. So I do often like to try to use satire or be flippant or just, just be a bit crazy as well. Yeah, that sort of softens, the heaviness. They say that comedy is the flip side of tragedy. And yeah, I think a lot of artists probably, go backwards and forwards on that coin all the time. But yeah, I've noticed that I use eyes a lot. There's usually at least one eye or like mention of a heart in my work. The top photo, it's also the pictures have also been placed in the shape of a crucifix. I thought that was a bit humorous, it's also a sign of hope and survival and future promise, that sort of idea. But yeah, the cigar smoking, while you're in an astronaut helmet, if that's not a sign of survival or hope, I don't know what is. Are you giving me a hint, Liam?
Right.
Yeah.
The colours as well, I guess I'm exploring a lot at the moment. So yeah, all different styles, colours.
But we'll just move on to Sunny.
So Sunny, can I ask you about, I know you've got a big fascination with the camera cedar.
Yes.
So do you want to tell us a bit about the camera cedar and yeah, a little bit about what it does? A lot of people don't know about what that does and about how your little camera cedar things, artworks, how they work.
Yeah, so the camera lucida is an optical device that was invented around the 1600s, way before the invention of the camera, but it's part of the history of the creation of photography. Back when it was created, some painters, it is thought, used it to, what it does is when you look down through the reflective device, you can see a projected image of what is in front of you on the paper in front of you. So you can use it to be more accurate in your sketches. If you're, doing a landscape or a portrait, you can see the proportions much more easily through the camera lucida. And some artists in art history, like Rembrandt, it's thought might have used it. And so I've always been fascinated with that. And so I've taken to making them as wearable lockets. So this is called my Camera Lucida Locket Kit. And on the side of it, you can also see a little miniature notebook. So you wear the locket around your neck as a necklace so that you can sketch wherever you go. And then you wear the little notebook as a pin, so you can sketch in it wherever you go. And in the series, there's also a tiny ink bottle pin, a brush caddy necklace, and I'm working on like a paint palette and pencil sharpener rings. And it's sort of like a fashion adornment as a statement of who you are, like exploring identity, that I'm an artist, a creator, and that I could create wherever I am, and sort of like a symbol and signifier to others in the community of who I am, and, that I'm maybe a safe place for them if they are that too.
Great, Sonny. They're really good.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
And next we have Keith. So would you like, Keith, can you tell us a bit about your interest in abstract and expressionism?
Okay, well, I should explain, firstly, Stargardt affects my central vision, so I use my peripheral eyesight. But if I hadn't had that problem, I probably would have been an abstract expressionist anyway. I like to paint absolute truth, paint on canvas. So my artwork has to look like, instead of a horse drinking from a river or something like that, I concentrate on the landscape in an abstract kind of way. And so using my peripheral eyesight, therefore the edges of my artwork are very important to me, because my central vision is blurry and foggy. And so I'm painting from my mental screen, but in this triptych that's in this exhibition, you notice that the edges are torn, very fragile. Because every day for me, even just a walk on the beach, which is across the road from me, and that's what keys my artwork, my landscapes are based on the coast. And I live in Wollongong, I go across the road, and every step I take, because I can't see properly, is like an adventure. It's a bit like, being very brave. So when I get back into the studio, I try to lift that from my mental screen. Everyone's got a mental screen, and some people call it their imagination. But if everyone closes their eyes and imagines a banana, they can trace that banana using their mental screen. So my mental screen is nothing. My Stargardt hasn't affected my mental screen. So I'm trying to quickly get that onto a canvas or onto ribbed cotton or paper as quickly as I can.
Really insightful.
We're going to stop sharing at the moment. We're actually going to take a moment to just say hello to everyone, and just say how wonderful it is to hear from each of you as artists, to hear about your practice and get a little bit of insight, and also hear about the broad range of themes and concepts and focuses of the work that you presented in this exhibition. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been a pleasure working with you all.
We're not quite finished yet. We are going to show some pre-recorded responses from artists as well. So not everyone could be with us today, and some people were able to create a pre-recorded artist talk and response about their work as well. But before we play those videos, we just thought we'd stop and have a bit of a chat. So yeah, what do you want to check in with everyone about?
Yeah, I just want to know what how everyone feels about the exhibition, and how they felt having their work in Artspace and in the Ideas platform. Has anyone got anything to say? Sunny?
Yeah, it's an absolute honor to be a part of it. And I'm so grateful to Artspace for having us, and to you, Liam and Rosalind, for organizing it and curating. Just thank you so much.
Pleasure having you. Does anyone else want to say anything?
Ditto. Yes, absolutely. It's always a bit of a shock for me, I guess, because again, I've been working a long time, but I've not been exhibiting a long time. So it's always a bit like, oh, I belong in this world too, kind of thing. I'm a part of this. So that feels really good. And yeah, just so much gratitude towards, the two of you, people at Artspace, GOG, Front Up, everything, that just, yeah, you've really changed lives. That's all I can say. So, yeah. I've just become so much more confident about my work and putting myself out there and feeling like I have a place. Yeah, so thank you.
Lovely to see that confidence, and we really recognise as well that yes, we're really lucky to be here working with such a broad range of artists, but it really is the community, and it's the interactions between the different artists that have worked together through the different Emerge programs, and then also through GOG, which is this ongoing community of artists. And seeing all your work in this space is particularly brilliant. And just knowing how it reflects the kind of conversations and connections that have been happening back in the hub together. But it's great to hear you speaking so confidently about your practice and how you've grown within this community.
Definitely. Sunny, is there something you'd like to say?
Yeah, I just wanted to add that Front Up was the first experience that I'd ever had of relational art, where the relationships we form with each other are, to me, the most important artwork out of all of the ones we create together. And it truly, as Linda said, it has been incredibly life-changing for me to achieve equity as an artist through all of the programs that Front Up and GOG have created and encouraged so many artists to be helped through.
Sunny, you've been a great part as well. Working for Front Up for years, so
It's so important as well having our artists in all aspects. You were one of the first Emerge artists to participate in Front Up, and same with you, Sunny. And this is we want to do more of this. We want to find other ways to involve the artists in facilitating and moving this initiative forward.
Yeah. Creating work and opportunities for people who come through Front Up, and it's really definitely we're all a product of that. So that's been great.
Does anybody else want to talk about their experience, or particularly what it's been like getting your work out of your studio and into the gallery?
I love the confidence building thing that was part of Front Up. I mean, that resulted as the end result of exhibiting and visiting Art Gallery New South Wales and everything. So it just coming through Front Up made me go more confident to do other things outside of Front Up.
And it might be a little bit frozen at the moment.
Okay.
Our partnership with Art Gallery New South Wales, Richard. Sorry, do you want to finish that thought off, Richard? Because you just froze there for a second.
I was just saying I love the confidence building part of Front Up. How after coming through it, I was more confident at the end of it to go on and do other things.
That's wonderful. That's what we want to hear.
Hey.
Did you feel like you might have had something you wanted to say?
Oh, I just want to add my 2 cents worth in too. Yeah, it's been lovely being part of Front Up and meeting, you know, so many different artists, and I'm really delighted seeing all your work as well. So, and thank you, Rosalind and Liam, for curating as well. I think it looks awesome.
It's beautiful the way that the works all come together.
Sorry, in what way does it look awesome? Is that what you said?
You know, Phil and I were chatting.
I can see that the artists are works of art themselves as well. Actually, it's really lovely to hear you all talk about work as well. So
Say that
yeah.
it's been a long time coming too, because this exhibition was supposed to be happening in last year in March, but because of COVID put us, so we've waited a long time to have this, and it's really great that we've all come together and achieved this.
And you know, we're artists across different years of Front Up as well. So this exhibition has actually brought us together, which is lovely, because you know, some of you I don't know that well, but I'm just delighted to hear about you and see your work. It's just
yeah, and such diverse disabilities as well. Like we all have different talents as artists and different experiences as artists with disability. And, you know, the original creators of Front Up, Edith Magnuson and Gay Fleming, working with Ability Options, I just want to acknowledge them and all of their hard work in bringing this incredible, you know, program together so that, you know, disabled artists can achieve things like this together, because society doesn't believe that we can, but we're showing them different.
It's breaking down barriers.
Yeah.
So thankful to Gay and Edith who started this program. So yeah, we all have them to thank for everything.
I think they'll be really proud watching this video and seeing everyone here shining and fulfilling the passionate vision that I think they had for when they created Front Up, and how it's ongoing and existing because of the people who have come, all of the artists who have come to contribute to this program.
And us who they brought into and taught us everything.
Yeah, I wouldn't be in this field if it wasn't for Gay and Edith. And also we've got this amazing space at the Ability Options in Seven Hills, our wonderful art space, and we are looking to get our artists back in the studio after being away for such a long time. So we hope to all be actually in the same room together. Thank you so much. We've got a little bit of time left, so we might watch our videos and hear from our final 4 artists. When the video is finished, we'll come back for one more goodbye to everyone. So I'm just going to share screen again and we'll listen to those.
Hi everybody, I'm Ernest Webster, and my art practice at the moment is I just finished a big mural outside of Sydney Olympic Park, outside of the train station there. It's on the ground, and it's a giant board game. It's a snakes and ladders, but I won. No, not one, but I made the name up for them. But me and this other artist named Nadia, me and her got together and we do this snake and ladders. Instead of calling snake and ladders, we still have snakes in it, but we also have frogs, ladybird, and other creatures there too, like lizards and blue tongues and eels and all that kind of stuff. Well, fantastic me to go for me is I got lots of news going on, lots of guys wearing suits, you know. In my mind, about one eyed goat in a lawyer's suit, making him look so lawyer look like. So it's They still have horns. They're wearing a shirt and a tie. So that's why I got it for taking me to go in a way. And then I put like some really cool abstract background go with it. So a really cool story go with it too. Yeah. Well, I think I got started in with Fun Top is through Seven Hills and Gay, and also the year I was doing all that, meeting you guys at 2016. So that's it. I remember that year. So that's it. I remember that year because that's when I did some artwork for the exhibition at Bangaroo through Fanta. And I wasn't there because I was on the cruise. Well, I'd love to be an ambassador for Fanta. And I think everywhere I go, supporting different artists, including from Fanta and the Garret. I'd love to see other artists coming through there. They do their own exhibitions somewhere. I can go and support them. I'd like to be who I am just now. Yeah. Well, I love meeting all these new people and old faces that I know. I still contact with them through social media and stuff. And for me, I think it's a perfect for myself to be contact you guys for that. So I'm very proud to be that.
First of all, I'd like to thank Funtop and Artspace, not only for myself, but for other artists with disabilities. That is pretty phenomenal. And that it also encourages the continuing your practice, because you sometimes get forgotten because you're not able to be out there. So this brings back the confidence and the reason why you're doing what you do. So as visually impaired visual artist, that I can actually visualize what I'm doing to a greater extent when I'm working on something tactile, like the long-sided sign that is showcased at Artspace. The long-sided sign created multimedia piece as the door card, that the attention getter for the exhibition title, Long-Sighted, which is 10 panels of various macular conditions. So the long-sighted reiterates optics and optical by using recycled optical objects and bringing that together as a canvas in an artwork in its own right. So that to me is one of my favourite pieces because it's so quirky and it's things that may not otherwise get used in any other form. Then there is the original macular map, the acrylic painting of my left macula back in 2005. So the reference for that was taken from an optical coherent tomograph, or OCT for short. It gives a ultrasound, a 3D image of the macula and that the contrast gives the specialist the information that they require of what the changes are in comparison to a normal macula. So that's also where the whole macular series long-sided series, which has been on tour to, I think, 7 different institutions along the way. And that's a huge educational tool, as a lot of people don't know what macula is. They don't know what their eye condition looks like. So that's part of my mission statement, to keep that on tour.
My practice is kind of multifaceted. Was influenced by people in my family. My father played flamenco guitar. To me as an infant, he was interested in photography. Both my paternal grandparents were artists, and singing at the Opera House as a young child in a multi-school choir just in primary school was a really major experience. So it was kind of a mixture, a blend of visual art alongside music and singing, poetry. I had a love of poetry, and my dad in his more recent years has published a number of books of poetry. And so it almost feels like it's in the bloodlines. Do you know what I mean? Like it's partly absorbed, it's partly persistence that I've just been encouraged by my mother, particularly saying, you know, you've got something, pursue it. Don't give up on it. Like, pursue this. This is what your passion, and you love it, and it lights you up. And don't do anything less than what lights you up. For Garret to Gallery, this exhibition, I put in my work. It's called Mercy, and it's about you know, playing with colour, playing with light, playing with line. I have this phrase that I'm always throwing around, which is dynamic line, which is, you know, sometimes when you see something abstract, it's graphically quite strong, which I love, and it's about God's mercy and His love and how we're protected. And the reason I named it Mercy was because from my understanding and my perspective, I learned about the rainbow. And I know that the rainbow is something that we all appreciate as a symbol of unity and a symbol of freedom and a symbol of peace. And because my faith in sort of informs my practice, I was like, yeah, you know, the mercy, the story of protection and what is it, protection and it's like a promise that we're not going to be harmed from God.
Hello, my name is Colette, and I definitely identify as an artist, and I definitely have some debilitating disabilities. Since my early 20s, I've been suffering from constant bodily pain. Thank God it's not quite as intense as it was then. I'm now in my 60s, but I still suffer constantly all day long with all over body pain and inside my body as well. It's called fibromyalgia. I can't even pronounce it right because it's early in the morning and I'm just settling into my body, and I'm outside with the rain. It's been raining for weeks. I'm from Sydney, and there goes a plane overhead, sorry. My other disability is I'm profoundly deaf in my left ear and have been since I was about 14. Part of my illness is, and also just my childhood upbringing, is a constant sense of shame and not enoughness, and like I'll never be enough. So I found after my divorce, I started going to an art therapy group, and it freed me. And it freed me in the sense that it reconnected me to my life, which is a natural sense of creativity. I feel that life is creating all the time, and that the mask I wore, that I developed to survive my childhood, and all the criticisms and whatever that happened at school and in life, it just shut down my creative source, my creative flow from within. And I regained it by going to art therapy. So I did that. It was very privately for many years. And for me, coming out of the Garret, getting out of the Garret, this is my first art exhibition that I'm bravely, for me, it is brave because, you know, the wounds I had were so raw. But for me now, I feel close to nature, so there's a sense of beauty and harmony and peace when I can get out of my head and just join with nature and just be. So that's what my art celebrates, and I thank you for listening and seeing my art. Thank you very much. Bye.
Thank you to all of our artists who left us those beautiful messages. I'm going to try and pin on one of the rooms to finish off with. We're going to speak to the artists who are just in the other room here at Artspace. And with these last few minutes, we'd love to hear where to next for you as artists. What are you planning and what would you like to achieve? So maybe Keith, Bill, Richard, or Joseph, would you like to tell us a little bit about that?
Where would we like to head to next?
Get our art in collections, have solo exhibitions, auction the works so they're more collectible, things like that.
Yeah.
And be respected for creating interesting art. Art as artifact. Yeah.
What about you, Joseph?
Well, I suppose doing more work, so it's not just portraiture, it's expanding the scope a bit. I suppose that's what I'm thankful about programs like Front Up, is because it allowed me to collaborate with other artists to do that sort of thing. Also, I would like to get some works into various art prices and be very happy that, you know, it gets selected. And it doesn't matter if I win or lose in the prize. It just means getting more exposure and networking that way. That's pretty much it.
And what about Keith? Where to next from you? For you?
Well, I listening to all this it's great. I like I think a sense or a feeling of belonging is really important. And we've all this adds to, you know, gives us valued status, which is really important for ourselves. My next thing, I'm having a solo show at the Corner Gallery in Stanmore. It's coming up from the 30th of June to the 6th of July. So I like to have exhibitions every now and again, but being a part of this and I've hung in the New South Wales Art Gallery a couple of times, and that kind of things like that, when you achieve something like that, it stirs you on.
Yes,
it motivates you, yeah. It gives you an incentive to keep going. Yeah, I'm doing the right thing. I have valued status, and I like to have that sense of belonging in the art world as well, despite having something that makes me a little bit different or us a little bit different.
That's great to hear, Keith. What about you, Bill? Where to next?
Richard, actually. Yeah, Richard.
Oh, sorry, Richard. Okay.
That's okay. Yeah, I don't know. I'm currently focusing on a colouring in book, a Polynesian colouring in book, where I've computerized and those images that you saw today were black and white, and a website. Yeah, that's what I'm working on, like a blog page website where I can put my memoirs and opinion pieces on.
That sounds wonderful.
Well, thank you very much. Well, it's been lovely hearing from all of you today. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for everyone who's joined us today. Please come and see the exhibition. It's until the 5th of April. So you got a little bit of time left to come and see the work. Thank you everybody for being here. It was great sharing the space.
Thanks, artists, for sharing all your wonderful insight.
Thanks for having
Thank
us.
you.
Thank you, Artspace, for hosting
Yeah,
us.
thank
Thank
you,
you for all your
Artspace.
support. It's been amazing.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just
Wow.
Yes.
I don't know what's going to happen. Maybe we'll just disappear. I don't know.
Thank you to the interpreters as well.
Yes.
Yeah, thanks the team.
Please come and see the exhibition too. You'll love the work.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I don't know if we're going to get cut off, but I'll just read out some lovely comments.
We had a lovely one from Edith.
Yeah, we did. Edith Magnuson, one of the
Founders.
founders of Front Up. George Silinakis, who's one of our wonderful program facilitators and educators, an amazing artist as well. Thank you. Catherine saying, yeah, we could feel the main gallery of Artspace. So yeah, I think we're working towards it.
Digby does big panels and big canvases and
Yeah.
big sculptures,
You'll be
graffiti, billboards, postcards, side of buses.
We have so many gold artists that do wonderful work. We could definitely have a huge exhibition.
With the little bit of time that we have, I'm going to share the screen and I'm going to look at Digby's work and Colette's work as well, because we got to see them. So let's find Digby. Okay, so this is Digby's work. We might be coming to go. So we've got Digby's work on the right there.
That's fantastic. Good.
I'm just wondering, do we have a little room sheet or a little a catalogue of the works, just as a memento?
Yes.
Who else have we seen?
Downstairs.
25. It's number 25.
Oh, thank you. I'm scrolling up and down. There we go.
Oh.
Thank you.
Oh, is that an online type catalogue, is it?
Her lovely acrylic work.
So we've got this lovely catalog here that you can get coming to visit the exhibition. It's got everyone's artist statements and information in it. But yeah, we'll get a copy to all of the artists as well. So you've got that, a digital momentum, and if there are printed copies, we'll get one to each of you as well.
Are there photos of the artworks as well in there?
Not in the room sheet.
Send you some.
Got to come see the show.
Okay.
On screen is Colette Rose's paintings. They're 9 by 9 inches, and they're her interpretation of abstract landscapes and internal landscapes.
Wow.
Well, beautiful colours and
Textures.
Beautiful.
have really nice feel to them.
Thank you, Sunny.
Rosalind, Liam, do we have a copy of this online that you're showing us?
We're online at the moment still, but yeah.
This is all getting
cool.
recorded and will be available to view after today.
Yeah.
Okay, right. More interested in the artworks and
Well, we're all still on.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
We'll just flip the artwork.
Relax now, just hang out.
what was that, Liam? I can't hear you.
We did. I'm so sorry. I did also see that comment as well. I'm sorry that I've been hard to hear. We do have to wrap up at this point. So just to finally thank you once again to everyone. And we look forward to seeing you at the hub, the Front Up Hub in Seven Hills. Bye.
Bye, everyone. Thanks for having us.
Keep well.
Thank you.